Hey guys, it's Marvelous Joe here. Just wanted to let you know up top before the episode that we do have a storefront now on TeePublic where you can buy new Marvel and DC t-shirts and other products that Jonathan and I designed that are pretty cool, we have to say. Johnny DC even drew this really cool design where it's the Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man where he's standing in the square and in the circle, except the guy is entirely composed of parts from DC Comics characters, and there's a Marvel version of that as well. Really cool looking, and he's going to be drawing a female version of that as well, of a Vitruvian woman. So it's probably cooler than how I'm making it sound, but go ahead and check those out, and we have other designs up on the storefront as well. I swear I'm going to get a tattoo of Jonathan's drawings. They're that cool. So go ahead and go to teepublic.com/user/dynamicduel, and I'll also link to the storefront in the episode description, so check that out for the holidays or even as a gift for yourself. But they do have a sale going on for the next 2 days, so if you happen to catch this episode the day it drops, get there quickly because the sale won't last forever. So let's go ahead and start the show. Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, where we debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in crossover battle simulations and by reviewing their films. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And Jonathan, this is your moment to shine because today we are reviewing the Justice League. I've been waiting a long time for it. Are you excited to talk about it?
I've been dying to talk about this since we saw it. We actually got really lucky. We got early screening tickets, so I've seen it twice now. At least between you and me, we had a really hard time not talking about it.
Yeah, I remember in the car we were both driving home, like wanting to say things about the movie, but we don't like to do that because we like
to save it for the podcast.
Yeah, we want the conversation to be organic, So you start saying things like, "Oh yeah, it was cool, that Green Lantern." I'd be like, "Shut the fuck up. We'll talk about it on the podcast."
By the way, spoilers. If you haven't seen the film yet, go watch the film. And definitely go watch it because it may have 40% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, but don't believe the critics. It's a good movie. It's worth watching for sure.
If you say so, man.
I
believe you. So if you follow us on social media at all, you'll notice that we did like a quick gut reaction review to the movie right as soon as we got out of the film on Monday, and we ended up giving it a higher rating than what we probably should have.
We give it 4 stars.
Yeah, we have this little spreadsheet that we have at home that kind of gives like accurate descriptions of films that fall within the 1 to 5 star ratings. So we went home, consulted the spreadsheet, and we're like, oh, this isn't actually a 4-star film.
I do have to agree that the movie definitely has its faults, But, I mean, we'll get into all of that during our review.
Yeah. It probably goes without saying that we gave the film 3.5 stars now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it falls squarely within that 3.5 star description that we describe in our little movie review guide that we have for ourselves. So, yeah, we'll be talking about the Justice League review later on in this episode. Before that, of course, we'll be getting into the news of the past 2 weeks. So this episode we'll be talking about the Untitled Deadpool sequel teaser trailer. I guess that's what we're calling it now.
It seems like that's the official title.
It's so weird to say that. We'll be talking about all the hullabaloo with Fox maybe getting acquired by other film studios. We'll be talking about the news that James Franco is going to star as Multiple Man in an X-Men spinoff movie. Billy Batson was cast in the Shazam film. And last but not least, we'll be talking about Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam.
Yeah, it's really X-Men and Shazam news this week.
Yeah,
for this episode.
Yeah, pretty much all exclusive to that. Please subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends about it. No matter which platform you're listening to us on, pretty sure there's a subscribe button. So,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Go ahead and push that thing. Last week, we were guests on the Blast from Our Past podcast, and we talked about the 90s X-Men cartoon and the 90s Batman animated series cartoon. We had a really good time chatting with those guys and arguing. We also went into like little casting sessions, like how if we were to cast those animated series, who would we cast? It was a whole lot of fun. I highly recommend checking out that podcast. probably as soon as you're done listening to this episode, because they have a really good show there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the trivia section. Congratulations to Tim Brown and Adam Spees for getting last week's trivia question correct, which was name an actor in a Marvel or DC film where their character is killed and then they're cast as another character for the other company, Marvel or DC.
Right.
So there were a handful of actors that this applied to, and Tim Brown and Adam Spees got the correct answers of Tommy Lee Jones,
who was originally Two-Face and then was
Colonel Chester Phillips, I think his name was.
Something like that.
Yeah. There was Adewale Akinnuoye Agbaje, who was the Cursed in Thor Ragnarok. He was killed, and then he was cast as Killer
Not
Croc.
Thor Ragnarok, Thor of the Dark World.
I'm sorry, Thor of the Dark World, then he was cast as
Killer
Croc in Suicide Squad. Adam Spees said Michael Fassbender, which is correct. He was killed in Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
And then he was cast as Magneto for Marvel.
Right.
But there were a few other ones.
others.
Yeah, Parker Posey, she was one of them. She was killed in Blade Trinity, and then she was cast in Superman Returns for the other side. Mm-hmm. Terrence Stamp was in Superman 2 for DC. He was killed in Superman 2. Superman straight up murdered his ass. And then he was cast in Electro movie as Stick.
Right. Yeah.
And then we also would have accepted Josh Brolin because he technically dies in Jonah Hex, even though he's brought back. But then, as we all know, he was cast again as Thanos and as Cable for Marvel.
Yeah. So. But I guess if that casting was allowed, we probably would have also allowed Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's true.
Yeah, she was Catwoman. Well, she was Selena Kyle, who technically died.
Did she technically die?
I think so.
I think she just went crazy.
She fell out of, like, a skyscraper.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so congratulations to those guys. You guys will be getting a No Prize, which is kind of an adaptation of the Marvel No Prize that they used to hand out, back in the 70s and 80s. And we kind of adapted that for this podcast. So it's just basically a JPEG that Jonathan draws of a popular superhero that has your name on it.
Yeah.
So this episode's question is, what was the first published DC superhero team, and in what comic book title did they first appear? Same question for Marvel. What was their first published superhero team, and in what comic book title? So you can submit your answer via direct message on our Instagram or Twitter. Go ahead and search for Dynamic Duel Podcast on those platforms. Same goes for Facebook. You can email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. Whoever gets the correct answer, again, will get the Dynamic Duel No Prize.
Right.
We'll also be giving a hint for that trivia question later on this episode. And time for the news.
On to the news.
So, the Untitled Deadpool sequel teaser trailer, it was actually called Deadpool's Wet on Wet teaser, debuted earlier this week, and it is so awesome. Like, I was a little concerned that they weren't going to be able to keep up the wild marketing that they had for the first movie.
Yeah.
Or that it would feel, like, unoriginal or not as funny.
Especially after that, like, Thanksgiving painting, like, with all the characters, I was like, is that funny? I wasn't sure.
Well, who would have known that it was it was kind of like a tease for this teaser.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Because as we know, I'm sure everybody's seen this teaser by now, and if you haven't, definitely go check it out. It's a parody of the Bob Ross Joy of Painting television show, which we used to watch as kids when they would air reruns of it on PBS.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. It's such a coincidence because as recently as a month ago, I had finished watching something on Netflix, and all of a sudden, this show started playing with Bob Ross. And I just watched a lot of these episodes, just remembering how it was, and it was a fantastic show. So to have this come up all of a sudden, it kind of felt a little violating, like they were stalking me or something like that. But so I don't know, it was just a weird feeling first seeing him, paint the big canvas.
I felt a little violated watching it too.
Why?
Because just watching the show as a kid, was Bob Ross high in each episode? I didn't know that.
Is
that
joke.
Common knowledge that I never knew?
I think Family Guy made that joke too, but
really?
I don't think he was. I like the afro wig that he has on. I like the names of the paints that are going by. We have
those are hilarious.
Clockwork Orange, Girls of Indigo, which is
Indigo Girls,
Soylent Green, Men in Black, Box Office Gold. There was Doc Brown. Let's see, Pretty in Pink, Silverlicious. I didn't really get that one too much.
No.
Yellow Snow I thought was hilarious, especially since he mentions it by name. Reddit, which of course is a good marketing tactic, and Betty White.
For sure.
Those are all great.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I remember when Bob Ross, he would always clean his brushes and he would, like, slap it against the easel and he'd always say, just beat the devil out of it. Just beat the devil out of it. They took it in a different direction.
Just whacking up.
Just beat it off. Just beat it off. That was probably, I'm immature, but so that was my favorite joke of the entire thing. But when he starts, just slapping the yellow paint on there, like, it looks horrible. He's not applying the right technique to it.
No.
And all of a sudden, the next cut, it's a beautiful snowy landscape. Look at all that white powder. I just want to roll around and get high on life in there. God, I love cocaine. So good. I feel like I'm just quoting it, but
he did a pretty good
impression
of Bob Ross during this, like his voice.
The voice and the accent a little bit. Yeah. Really funny. I think that this was all Ryan Reynolds' idea. Like, I think he plays a huge part in this marketing. In fact, I think that's been confirmed.
He did in the first one.
Yeah.
The first movie, yeah.
The dude has a wonderful sense of humor and a great feel for exactly how this character.
I think it's like really convenient, the fact that, like, you can't see Deadpool's mouth, so, like, they could just do line after line after line after line and just edit, like, the best line in there, because it's so easy. You don't have to show his mouth,
right? Yeah, you could do multiple takes and just pick what makes people laugh the most.
For sure. So you get, like, sort of like the best, I guess the best like physical acting and the best line delivery.
Right. And you don't have to do as many takes. You could ADR a lot of that stuff in the studio later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really good setup that they have. Of course, he beats it off the second time. He whacks it off the second time, and he, like, throws the brush by accident, and then he drops his
What
board.
was on the painting?
I don't know. It was the mountain scene, but he had, like, painted some red stuff over it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened.
I couldn't tell if that was something.
I think it was supposed to be him. Like, he was trying to paint Deadpool right there, like jumping or something. I don't know, because I see, like, the outline of legs, maybe a body. I have no idea what I'm looking at, honestly. But it cuts from there, from technical difficulties, and we see some real quick shots of the film. We see, I think the direction looks amazing. It's not as dark as I would have thought it was going to be. Like, my fear, I know when we discussed that David Leitch was going to be the director, I thought the film was going to be a little bit too dark because he doesn't light things very well. He doesn't do a lot of 3-point lighting. But the style of these shots is not that bad. I mean, they're dark, but there's some, like, daytime shots that look really good too, like with Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah.
She looks cool.
All the favorites are back.
Her haircut's pretty cool. It's better in this film than it was in the other one. We see a quick shot of Domino. Some of my other favorite shots from the quick cuts were when him and Blind Al were pointing guns at somebody, and she was, like, completely aiming the wrong direction. So he had to point the gun in the right direction. And there's a shot here where he's, like, waking up in a coffin. That looks pretty hilarious.
Yeah, too. That's gonna be funny.
The whole vibe of the trailer just looks like
it's very first Deadpool.
All of my fears about David, the new director and everything, have gone away because this looks like even better than the first. I think.
Yeah.
Because it's more visually appealing. I think the cinematography is more visually appealing, but all that humor and action that you love from the first one is still there. And we know that David Leitch is a great kinetic action director too, from John Wick and stuff. So, and from Atomic Blonde. So it's gonna be awesome. After those quick cuts, after the technical difficulties are done, we go back to the Joy of Painting little bit, and we see that the Thanksgiving painting that they first promoted earlier on this month. It looks funny as hell.
Yeah, after the credits, the credits are pretty amusing. Like, boom goes the dynamite. But, the last shot is, of course, Cable's hand reaching for, like, some ammo.
Yeah, there's a cool little Easter egg at the end.
I don't know why they didn't just do a full shot of Cable. It's like they're trying to tease him. But, I mean, we've seen pictures of him, before.
Yeah.
Not sure why. I wonder why he wasn't in, like, the footage, like, the full-on shot of him.
Because they're just biding their time, They're saving it for later. The movie doesn't come out until June, so they have plenty of time.
Yeah, I was really surprised that we actually got I guess it's just a teaser trailer, but, like, a teaser trailer before Avengers Infinity War did, because, the next Avengers film comes out in, what, April?
May.
Oh, May? Yeah. So I'm surprised we haven't seen any, like, no publicly released footage up from that.
Well, they say that we're supposed to get the first Avengers teaser trailer the first week of December. I mean, I think it'll be attached to each copy of Star Wars, but we'll get to see it online sooner, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that much pretty much does it. I love the direction that the movie's heading in. It looks even better than the first, which I loved. So
Yeah.
all right, next topic. So Disney was in talks with Fox to acquire their film and television properties.
I think they're still in talks.
According to a CNBC reporter, a business reporter, his name is David Faber, he said, according to his sources, that pencils aren't down on the deal yet. So they kind of maybe stepped away from the tables, but they're still in talks, basically. Mm-hmm. We also received a report, I think it was yesterday, that Sony may also be interested in acquiring those film and television properties, which I kind of like better, I think, because I don't want Disney to own every IP.
Right.
I don't want them to have a monopoly on every single fanboy intellectual property out there. I think they have too much maybe already between Marvel and Star Wars. And, they're doing well now, but if there ever came a point in time where, they made executive changes or something like that and the movie started not being good, that would be a disaster for all of, fandom intellectual property.
How could you possibly be worried about, though? I mean, don't you want to see the X-Men in the Marvel Universe?
Well, that's why I was more interested in maybe Sony acquiring the rights because, one, they really need it. They lost the Bond property. They don't have a whole lot of franchises to go with. And they have shown a willingness to work with Marvel. So I think that would kind of give us the best of both worlds. One, we'd get the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe due to a deal between Sony and Marvel. I think that would be cool. And I don't want Disney to overextend themselves either. And two, Sony, would be able to save themselves and create cool X-Men movies. I don't necessarily trust them to, though, I guess. I don't know. It's a double-sided sword. I just don't want Disney to have it, honestly, even though they do an amazing job. Is that weird?
I mean, from like a stopping capitalistic greed viewpoint, no, it's not weird. But in terms of like a fan viewpoint, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing what other people think about the deal. I think it'd be cool to have, like, if Marvel had, like, their Avengers and Guardians and Space Universe, and then Sony got to play with the Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four side of things. You could have, like, these two concurrent studios that produce their own films, but also work together and collaborate on, the casting and the script writing and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be cool. And neither studio would overextend itself, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for Sony. But again, like, we don't even know if this is going to happen at all. Fox reportedly wants to focus more on their sports and news divisions and kind of, get rid of their movie and TV stuff. So that's why this is all happening, but it's not for sure whether it'll happen at all.
Yeah, I was wondering why Fox wanted to do this. I mean, but they don't have Star Wars anymore. They're doing really good with X-Men. I guess now is a better time to sell than any time.
What if they sold to Warner Brothers?
Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
Warner Brothers would never mix those universes. Although you could do Justice League versus X-Men, which would be interesting.
Yeah, it could almost be if Warner Brothers acquired it, that might be kind of the first steps toward a Marvel versus DC cinematic movie. I don't know, shared something.
I don't know. I mean, AT&T is still in talks to buy Warner Brothers. So who knows if AT&T would be interested in acquiring another, film studio.
That's a good question. I don't know. It's interesting nonetheless. I hope it happens soon, whatever happens.
I kind of hope Fox just doesn't do this and just stays Fox.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, to me, like, they're like one of the biggest movie studios out there. Why give that up?
Because they don't want to be, I guess. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what would happen to the likes of, like, the R-rated superhero properties like Deadpool.
Right. If there was one like hesitation for Disney acquiring Fox, it would be that, because is Disney interested in making rated R films? I don't think so. They're more family friendly.
Right. So maybe give it to Sony. So I mean, Sony didn't they do like 21 Jump Street and all that?
I think so. Yeah.
So they could do R-rated comedies pretty well, I think.
For sure.
All right, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned for updates on that as the story develops. So speaking of, Fox and the X-Men universe, we learned a few days ago that James Franco is going to star as Jimmy Madrox in a Multiple Man film,
which came out of nowhere.
Came way out of left
so
field.
surprising. I was like, what? Holy cow.
He would make a perfect Jamie Madrox, I think.
He would, but
I
Multiple
really like
Man
this.
is like D level, F level superhero.
But he's so cool.
He is cool.
I remember I read a lot of his stuff during right before the House of M series, and he ran X Factor investigations, and I think the book was called Madrox, and later it was called X Factor. But it was written by Peter David, and it was the time in Jamie's life where he didn't know what he wanted to do with his life, and he sent out all of these duplicates of himself out among the worlds to like become experts in various things, and then he would reabsorb them and gain their knowledge. Because if you don't know Multiple Man, that's what his power is. He can create duplicates of himself, and he could do it voluntarily, or it also happens anytime he's impacted. A duplicate will form.
Right, physically.
Yes. So it's a cool superpower. Multiple Man did appear briefly in the X-Men 3 movie. He was captured. He was being transported on that bus with Juggernaut and Mystique. That when Magneto broke into it. It wasn't a bus. It was a semi, right?
I forget. I blocked that movie out.
It was a semi.
But I do remember a scene
It was like
where
a moving prison.
Like the SWAT team was moving in on the Brotherhood, and like it was all just Multiple Men.
He's a really cool character, really funny character.
I remember you raving about the Peter David story, so I read it and I loved it. Yeah. He is a great character.
And James Franco is a funny actor. He's really good. This is kind of like the best news possible. Like you never
for a Multiple Man movie.
You never expected a Multiple Man movie.
No.
You never necessarily wanted a
or
Multiple
asked
Man
for
movie.
one. Yeah.
But the fact that this is the talent behind it is exciting. And Fox is developing all of these interesting, B-list, C-list hero properties, like with Gambit starring Channing Tatum, who is also a very good comedic actor.
Yeah.
And you have Ryan Reynolds, and now you have James Franco. So they're kind of rebuilding their X-Men universe.
Yeah.
Outside of the main X-Men movies, like Apocalypse and stuff, which has kind of gone downhill.
Yeah. To me, it feels a lot sort of like what Marvel did leading up to Avengers. You have to wonder, because of Multiple Man's ties to X Factor, if, they're all going to be in X Factor one day. A film with Ryan Reynolds, Channing Tatum, and James Franco.
Yeah, or X-Force or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm confusing X-Force and X Factor.
Yeah, they're
Never mind.
different. But yeah, they're kind of like setting up like their own solo series, and all of a sudden they meet in a team movie, and it feels just like the Avengers. It's kind of brilliant. It sounds more exciting to me than Simon Kinberg's Dark Phoenix film.
Yeah, for sure.
Good job, Fox. I guess you're making great moves like this, and yet you want to sell your properties. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens again. So that's pretty much it for that news.
Yeah. On the DC end, Asher Angel has been cast as Billy Batson.
I don't know the guy.
Yeah, I don't know him either. I should pull up his
IMDb
filmography.
I heard that he was like a Disney Channel star.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I mean,
as well.
he looks the part for sure. He looks exactly like Billy Batson from the comic books, and I guess he could pass for a young Zachary Levi as well.
Yeah, he does. I saw them side by side at the Justice League premiere, and yeah, totally. I totally buy that. Zachary Levi is an older version of.
Well, the question is Shazam? Is the character of Shazam supposed to look like an adult version of the kid character?
I think so. Yeah. Otherwise, Black Adam and Shazam would look identical.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I remember in Kingdom Come, Billy Batson was brainwashed, but when he was an adult by Lex Luthor, but his physical appearance looked like
exactly
Captain
like
Marvel.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah. Everyone thought it was Captain Marvel. They thought he was in Captain Marvel form, but it was really Billy Batson.
Grown up as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he could pass off as a younger Zachary Levi. I think that all works there.
I want to see him in something. I'm not familiar with anything he's been in. He's been in like something called Andy Mack, Jolene, Hate from a Distance. No clue what any of these movies are. Never heard of them. But I want to know what his acting ability is. Can he hold his own film? Is he the star of the film, or is it Zachary Levi?
Oh, that's a good question. 50-50, I would assume.
You'd hope.
Yeah. I feel like I'm always really critical of child actors because the really good ones are far and few between.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's one of the good ones. Otherwise, it kind of takes me out of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's been a lot of, like, you look at, like, Stranger Things,
Yeah, those kids are great. Or
yeah,
It.
those kids were great, and those kids were great as well. I just like I don't know what version of Billy Batson they're gonna go with. Are they gonna go with like the G. Willikers version? Or are they gonna go with like the asshole version?
The cocky version?
Yeah. This kid to me doesn't look like he looks too happy to be an asshole. In all of the photos, he just has this big ass smile.
It depends on the haircut.
Maybe. He definitely looks like a Nickelodeon kind of actor.
Oh, is he a Nickelodeon?
I don't know.
I thought he was Disney Channel.
I think he's Disney Channel, but he has that look.
What's the difference?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I think you just meant to say Disney Channel.
No. When I say Nickelodeon, I mean Disney Channel as well. They're interchangeable for me.
I also saw that picture of the two actors standing together at the Justice League premiere. It was cool that they got to be there. There was a cool little Easter egg referencing Shazam in the Justice League movie that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
That I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's get there. Next news item.
Next news item. So apparently, the rumor is right now that Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam may debut in Suicide Squad 2.
Now, is the rumor that it's going to be a starring role or that it's going to be a cameo?
It has to be a smaller role because of Dwayne Johnson's schedule. Now, this news comes to us from The Wrap, which is, a pretty reputable source. It's by El Maimbe, but lately his stuff has been spot on ever since he started writing for The Wrap. I tend to believe this.
They probably make him cite his sources instead of just his wild conjecture all the time.
Right. Yeah. On social media, yeah. No, so he gave a brief description of, like the Suicide Squad is enlisted again to capture this weapon of mass destruction, and that weapon actually turns out to be Black Adam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So he almost may be like a villain of the piece, maybe, or maybe he teams up with them. I don't know.
Well, The Rock is such a badass that I think he fits in really well with that whole Suicide Squad crew.
Yeah.
Like Will Smith is a badass. They all have this kind of like attitude to them. And
I could totally see Will Smith and The Rock doing a movie together.
Yeah.
They're
and
both,
Margot Robbie.
Yeah. I think they would play really well off each other. The Rock plays really well off of anyone. He could go with Kevin Hart. He could go with Jack Black. It's anyone. So I'm really hoping that this news is accurate. I think it is.
It kind of sounds like it's kind of shaping up to be Fast and Furious-y.
Which is fine by me. Totally fine by me. If the Suicide Squad could be like the Fast and the Furious franchise, yes, please.
Really?
Yeah, just like a group of bad guys just, pulling off heists and, stuff like that.
Yeah. That does sound pretty
working
cool.
for the government. The Suicide Squad should be Warner Brothers Fast and the Furious
I can't remember who the director is for Suicide Squad 2. I remember they announced it.
Yeah, it's the same guy who did The Accountant.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Gavin O'Connor.
That's right.
And, The Rock has teased before, like, The Rock is going to show up in some place you don't expect, and it's going to be a surprise, and it's going to be great.
Did you just give away a spoiler by saying that the weapon of mass destruction is going to be Black Adam? Or do you think that'll be...
Yeah, probably. But, how do you market the film with The Rock in it without showing The Rock? It's bound to be spoiled. It's like marketing the Justice League without Superman. I'm sure that was really hard for Warner Brothers, and they did show Superman, so...
Do you think they should have shown more of him in the marketing?
Yes. Maybe. I don't know.
I think it would have helped sell the film.
I think they had their arm tied behind their back, I definitely think it would have helped sell the film, I agree. But what can you do? Because then you have people who would, cry foul like what they did with Doomsday.
Yeah. Do you think any of this DC news, including Shazam, including Suicide Squad 2, do you think any of those projects are in flux now, that it's possible that Justice League may not be as critically or financially successful as Warner Brothers would have liked?
I think Warner Brothers knew that it wasn't going to be critically successful. I think they tried their hardest to make the film as likable as possible, but I think they knew that it was going to be a critical failure, because recently they came out with news saying that Warner Brothers is considering 2008 their rebirth year.
2008?
Or 2018, sorry.
Okay.
I think, being that Aquaman is their only film in 2018, they're going to look long and hard about what they're working on and their approach to it. So,
yeah. Are we talking about the Justice League film now? Should we just?
I think we are.
Let's go into the review, okay?
All right.
Before we start talking about it more.
Okay, so Justice League. I just want to start by saying that,
Fuck the critics.
first of all, fuck the critics. and second of all, my first impression coming out of the first time we saw this movie, my first impression was that this was the most Marvel film that DC has made.
That was my first point, too, that I have in my notes that I was going to say.
And by that, what I mean is that, it's the most fun, it's the most colorful, most humorous, most action-packed, and just all-around likable film. But the last time Warner Brothers tried to hit all of those marks, we got Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. And while the Justice League isn't nearly as bad as that Oscar-winning film, I do think that studio meddling prevented it from being as good as it could have been.
When is Warner Brothers going to get out of their own way?
Exactly.
Like, I feel like we've had this conversation before, both with Suicide Squad and with BVS.
Yeah.
The studio interference has just really screwed them. They screwed themselves over each time.
They're really, really, really cowardly. Really, they're afraid. They're afraid of their audience. They're afraid of the internet, essentially.
Yeah. Like, I enjoyed this film, but I'm really looking forward to the director's cut.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So like I include the hiring of Joss Whedon as part of this meddling, and I know Snyder's situation pulled him from the movie, and it's heartbreaking. But I also remember Warner Brothers offering to push back the release date if Zack Snyder wanted. But honestly, who could blame him for not wanting to deal with all the internet and critical hatred that Zack Snyder gets?
Yeah.
I could see why he didn't want to do that. But I think a lot of people thought that Whedon was going to save this film, myself included. And maybe for a lot of people he did, because don't get me wrong, it is a good movie. But after seeing the finished product, I was really left wanting to see Snyder's original vision.
Yeah.
Based on scenes from the trailers that weren't in the film, and there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
And also the set reports.
Right.
That we got early on. I think we could have gotten a much better film, personally, or at least a more consistent film.
Yeah. Considering how long the production time was.
Yeah.
It should have been a better film.
Yeah.
But again, like, everybody that I've seen this film with has enjoyed it.
Yeah, same here.
Like, I thought I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with this film. I thought it was fun above all. It's as a Marvel fan, it probably appealed to me the most because it felt the most Marvel-y.
Yeah.
When people ask me how this film was, I say that I felt about it the same I felt about Avengers: Age of Ultron, which I gave 3.5 stars, and I had fun with Avengers: Age of Ultron, but I knew it wasn't perfect. It didn't meet up to the expectations of the first Avengers film. And, it had quite a bit of flaws, but I still enjoyed it. Same way with this film, and I feel like that was Whedon's influence. I'm not sure if Zack Snyder's influence would have been any better, though. I will never know.
Yeah. What I was hoping to see when I went into the movie was... And I figured we weren't going to get this. I should have known we weren't going to get this because Joss Whedon was brought on board. Was consistency. Like, I like Snyder's movies, for all the hate that BVS gets, and to a lesser extent Man of Steel. Like, I like those versions of the character. So, like, when Superman did show up in this film, like, it was so different from what we got before. And kudos to Henry Cavill for being able to play both, like a dour kind of Superman, a more brooding kind of Superman, and a more, like, hopeful Superman.
Yeah.
But it's inconsistent. I really wanted this to be sort of like the trilogy of the Snyder films, and it was so different from what I thought we were gonna get.
It was different from what the first Comic-Con trailers made it out to be too. Like, you had mentioned that there's a lot of stuff that wasn't here that was in the trailers.
Yeah, totally.
But you mentioned Henry Cavill. I think, give huge props to all the actors, because I think they really embodied their roles.
Totally.
I think the characters themselves are the best part about the movie, more so than, the plot or the pacing, or things like that. The characters themselves, they nailed it. Yeah.
Which is interesting for a DC film, because, I'll give credit where credit is due. Marvel has, the stronger characters. DC has...
Wait, what did you just say?
Marvel has the stronger characters. And I think that's what people like about their films.
One more time?
Fuck off. And I think that's what brings people back, again and again for Marvel, is that, they have the strong stable of characters. With DC, and I mentioned this like in the Blast from the Past podcast that we just guest starred.
Yeah.
Is that, we have, I think, the more pure archetype characters, and I think
DC.
With that, they're almost like symbols. You could tell like bigger, more impactful stories. And I think when you try and take DC characters and turn them into Marvel characters, for me, it wasn't as appealing because it was trying too hard to be likable. It was trying so hard to be Marvel. When I think we're better than that.
I think in general, characters are more interesting than archetypes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with you there.
I think that's why a big part of why Marvel is better than DC.
But I'm talking about story, not necessarily characters. This was not the story that you tell with these characters.
Yeah, I didn't mean that as a dig. What I'm trying to figure out is why DC has such a hard time with their cinematic universe than Marvel.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it, is that Marvel has always been a house of ideas, a house of well-established, relatable characters, compared to DC, who has always been more of a modern mythology.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
No, I understand it, and hopefully Warner Brothers gets their act together. I think they shot themselves in the foot again this time. I think it's not going to make as much money as they wanted it to, which is really sad. I'm not going to lie, I'm depressed yet again, just laying in bed staring at the ceiling like this movie's not going to make over $100,000 on opening weekend possibly, and that just cuts to my core.
Well, I mean, despite that, I think a lot of people still view this as a great launching point for the future of the DC Films universe.
Yeah, I think there's no denying that. A lot of the reviews I have read or snippets of reviews do admit that. This is the start of something greater.
So it's almost like they didn't quite succeed as well as they could have with this film, but they did succeed with the potential that it could bring.
Yeah. And again, like you mentioned, a lot of that has to do with the characters. So if you go into a character breakdown, let's start off with Batman.
Yeah.
I have to say, Ben Affleck, once again, is still, in my opinion, the best Batman we have ever seen on screen.
The best Batman and the best Bruce Wayne.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you hate on Ben Affleck or not. This is the same Bruce Wayne, to me, that was in the Batman animated series show.
And from the comics.
And from the comics, yeah.
Yeah, it's not someone else's, take on Batman, like Christopher Nolan's or Christian Bale's. To me, this is especially during that opening scene with Batman, holy shit, that was amazing.
Where you first see him and he's
he's just like sitting on that gargoyle, just stalking that criminal.
Yeah, the Fight Club guy.
Yeah. And he just goes after him, just like peeking around like that water tower. It's so badass.
Yeah.
Oh man. I had such high hopes for this film, just based on the opening scene. And honestly, it's not like that feeling ever left me throughout the film. The whole film is filled with fan service. Just like these moments, these character moments where it's like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to see that,
I get really distraught about the whole news regarding whether or not Ben Affleck is going to return for Matt Reeves' films.
Yeah, that still kills me.
I really want him to come back.
I think he will. I think Charles Roven has recently said that Ben Affleck is going to stay in the role.
Charles Roven is
a big-time producer on the films. He's not the biggest producer.
I heard that he was also not producing the Batman films, so I don't know if he would know.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
He's not.
Don't tell me that shit.
It's a little disheartening. I'm a huge fan of Ben Affleck's work in this film, and in BVS and in Suicide Squad. It's just and
he gets better each time.
If this is the three films that we get out of him, then I'll be sad, but also he has done a great body of work with these three films, I think.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the highlights of the DC Films universe so far.
Yeah. And in this movie, I just love his arc. It's almost like a redemptive one. Like he's seeking penance for what he did against Superman. He didn't kill Superman, but throughout this film, you definitely see that he blames himself for that. It was good. It was a good one.
Yeah. Wonder Woman, again, is another highlight of the DC Films universe so far.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, out of all the characters, I mean, and two of them have really been in previous films, Batman and Wonder Woman, she's the most consistent from what came before, I think. So it's nice to have the consistency, especially, having...
Yeah, because Batman did crack quite a few jokes in this.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, not quite the Bruce Wayne that he was in Batman vs. Superman.
No.
This is almost the complete opposite film.
I don't think it was overboard, though. His jokes, at least.
Right. I mean, I laughed at most of them.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. With Wonder Woman, having her film come out earlier this year and that story, it was really great to see her again so soon. Yeah. It was. I really love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She nailed it again. And not only that, like, you could see her, like, becoming a really big Hollywood star. Like, she's holding her own in those scenes with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
And she had some really great scenes. The two of them have a pretty good chemistry.
She was a badass. I thought she had some of the best action beats. Like with her lasso and just she really took it head on to Steppenwolf, and
sure.
I thought she was cool.
Between her and Aquaman, like, she's really the main one who like served as an opponent to Steppenwolf, to the villain.
It is interesting, though. I did notice there is a difference between Wonder Woman in her film and this Wonder Woman. Even though you had mentioned the consistency, I do notice a difference between the female director perspective and the male director perspective.
The butt cheeks.
I mean, not just that. Like, she seemed very, like, the male perspective on Wonder Woman was very motherly, I guess, in this one. Mm-hmm. She seemed a little motherly, like when she had mentioned, like, children. I work with children.
Ugh.
Like, she's like,
I hated that line.
She was like team mom a little bit,
She might as well have just said, "Man, am I right?"
But there was also that sexual aspect to it, We had a lot of low angle shots with her.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little weird.
I don't know if that was Snyder or Whedon.
It would be either or, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if either of them did that.
Uh-huh.
I'm more inclined to say Snyder, though, because I don't think Black Widow was ever overly sexualized in the Avengers films.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. But I just thought, like, the male perspective on her was more motherly and sexualized. She felt more of a real, like, established woman in the Wonder Woman film with Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, that's true. I do like the way they sort of, in this film, like, explained why she like sort of stayed out of the light.
Right.
In the 100 years between her film and BVS. I thought that was a really well done explanation. Like, it was really organic the way it was done.
Right.
Just explaining, like, how she doesn't want to lead people because, what was the line she said? Like, when people are willing to risk their lives for what you believe, they're all Steve Trevor.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done.
And that was her concern, like when she was talking with Bruce Wayne about, we're asking people we don't know to, sacrifice themselves for this cause. And he's like, yeah, that's how this works. He didn't really have a problem with it. She did. Yeah. So, yeah, good character motivation on that part. I thought that was well done.
Yeah. With Aquaman, Jason Momoa played him, like, exactly like I thought he would. Just a total badass.
He seemed like a great fighter in some parts and a not great fighter in other parts. Like, Wonder Woman was holding her own for a lot of the time when she was fighting against Steppenwolf, and every time I feel like Aquaman would go in for the hit, he would always just get batted away like he was nothing. And of course, he's not as strong as them, but he did have one cool moment where he was using his not trident, quindent, as like a bow staff, and he just that was his really powerful move where he like knocked Steppenwolf across when they gained the upper hand at the end of the film.
Yeah. In the Thor review, we mentioned that there was like quite a bit of setup without payoff. I do think this plagued this film as well. One of them being Aquaman's trident. Like, we have one scene where he uses it to like control water, maybe.
I would have liked it if he was the one who found out where Steppenwolf was keeping the mother boxes.
Absolutely.
Like, if it was near the water and it was his fish speak power.
They mentioned that in the film twice, and we didn't get to see it. Yeah. I definitely think that they kind of dropped the ball in terms of where they set the location of the final battle. It should have been near water.
Yeah, that would
just
cool.
to get the most use out of
to make it more relevant.
Justice out of his power.
He had great action beats too, but I feel like a lot of those were revealed in the trailer.
Yeah,
I really wish they wouldn't have shown this stuff where he was like surfing the parademon, or like fighting him in midair, because those were his best action beats.
Yeah, just swimming through the air.
Yeah, that was so cool. His stuff was more ruined through the trailers than any of the other characters, I believe.
Or you mean spoiled?
Spoiled, not ruined.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would definitely, I wouldn't say ruined at all, because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel going into the movie with his portrayal, but I was completely fine with it. I'm completely fine with his Aquaman. I can't wait to see his film next year.
Yeah. How would you describe the character of Aquaman as he was portrayed in this film?
Just really tough. Just a tough badass.
Kind of gruff, a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, but I mean, also like, someone who struggles with his identity and courage. Like, I think that was definitely one of his themes. Like, he was sort of like the cowardly lion in a way in this film. Like, at the beginning, Batman's saying, Superman died beside me, and Aquaman's like, exactly. But by the end of the film, he's ready to go into battle with these guys, and admits that he's willing to die beside them. And probably one of the funniest bits in the film.
Yeah.
I love that part when he's sitting on the magic lasso.
Yeah, it was a great character moment because he revealed, like, he confessed to his identity issues.
Yeah,
good character moment.
He was the last one to join the team, I think, because of he's just afraid of being in a group, afraid of putting himself out there, afraid he's willing to help people, but I think he kind of overcame that by the end of the film, which is good.
Yeah,
it definitely sets up the next film.
Right.
Flash. I just have to say, Ezra Miller plays him just so wonderfully awkward and so hilarious. I don't know if it's like my Barry Allen.
Yeah, it's not the Barry Allen that I know, but
no,
it's a good take on it.
It's so just childish and charming. You can't help but love it.
I really want to see a Flash film now. When I got home, Melissa asked me who I like the most, and I said the Flash. I think the Flash was my favorite character, mainly because just I'm a sucker for an oddball, quirky, funny character.
Yeah. I think of all the characters in the film, he was probably the most relatable to me. Like, if I was a Justice League member, I'd probably be Ezra Miller's Flash.
Yeah, he wasn't quite heroic. He was very relatable. A lot of the things that he said were things that you could see yourself saying. He was easily able to identify with.
Yeah. And, the fact that he needed that agency, like the heart-to-heart he had with Batman in terms of, like, he's afraid of bugs and he just pushes people and runs away and stuff like that. Yeah, it's relatable. It's the most relatable.
He also had, I think, one of the most heartfelt scenes in the movie with
his dad.
With his dad.
That was a really good scene. I mean, it was straight out of the TV show.
That was a total Zack Snyder scene.
It was. It totally was.
Yeah.
And it reminded me a lot of the TV show, actually.
How did this version of the character compare with the TV character, both in terms of personality and how their powers are portrayed? Because I don't watch the Flash TV show. Like, who do you like more now that you've seen this?
Who do I like more?
Yes. Between TV show Flash and
it's probably
Flash.
Still the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grant Gustin is a really good Barry Allen. But, I still think there's room for Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller just played it so differently, It's hard to compare them.
How did the Speed Force effects from the TV show compare to this movie? Like, which one did you like more? Were they similar?
They were more similar than I thought they were going to be. Because the show, oftentimes does like a slow, speeding and then slow motion. I do have to say, I like the aesthetic of this one. And I knew I would just from the trailers. The blue contrasted with his red is just a really good aesthetic.
Do you think it would have felt more like the Flash if it was yellow?
No, I think this was perfectly fine in terms of how the Flash was depicted or how he felt as the Flash.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad they went blue, even just if only just to separate themselves further from the TV show, because I want the two to be able to stand on their own, and I think they do.
Yeah, that's good. Right. Cyborg.
Yeah, Cyborg.
He was my second favorite character.
Ray Fisher gave a really cold performance, but that's not saying it was bad. He definitely held his own for it being like his first movie. I don't know if it's his first movie. I think it is. He definitely held his own with everyone else. With Ezra Miller, who's so energetic. And I feel like Ezra Miller had as much fun playing the Flash as like Ryan Reynolds does with Deadpool. They just love those characters.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like when you see like just the scene of them digging up Superman's body, that
was a great moment.
That was a great moment. And you could tell that they're buds,
Yeah, Ray Fisher's performance, I think, was the best in the film.
It was the best in the film?
I think so. Like, I was expecting a lot, and yet he still exceeded my expectations. I even love everything from that first line where he was like, you don't want them to see the monster. And he's like, you're not a monster. And then he said,
funny
that you thought I was thinking about me.
Yeah.
Just his delivery. It's hard to convey a half machine, half human,
Yeah.
he pulls it off so well.
He did. He definitely feel for the guy. He's definitely the most sympathetic. He's like the Thing from the Fantastic Four. This guy who's not sure what he is.
Yeah.
It was definitely a fantastic performance.
Yeah. And in terms of like plot, he really carried the story forward. And in terms of utility, what he was able to do for the team, he really contributed so much.
Yeah. One
of the most vital characters in this story.
For sure. I would say like Batman is probably the POV character, because a lot of what happens in the film is because it's what he wants to happen. He needs to form a team, so the team forms. He wants to resurrect Superman, so that happens. You know, and then but his best tool in the film is Cyborg.
Yeah,
hands down,
for sure. Yeah, he's my second favorite character of the film, for sure. Really liked him. And I think they did a really good job of differentiating him from Iron Man. I don't think he felt like Iron Man at all.
No, not at all. Yeah. The way he was like able to like interface with the technology and improve technology, when Batman was like, oh, the ship won't get us there fast enough. He was like, she will for me. Or I forget what he said.
Yeah. But Batman feels more like Iron Man with his gadgets and stuff like that. Cyborg feels more like a machine.
Yeah.
But also human. I don't know. It's interesting. I never really minded the suit design. Mm-hmm. It did feel a little Transformer-y.
Oh, yeah.
That was my first impression. He looked like Megatron, in which the design is not readily
intelligible.
But at the end, you see that his design changes. That was such a cool moment.
It was like a throwaway moment, but it was like, I cheered when I saw that. It's like, yes, he finally gets that logo on his chest.
I had such a big smile on my face coming out of this movie.
Oh, hands down. They nailed the ending.
Yeah.
They nailed it. Yeah, great feels walking out of it. That's probably why we gave it 4 stars during our initial viewing.
Yeah, and then you start thinking about it a little bit more, and the rest of the film doesn't quite hold up. But yeah, big smile on my face.
Did you like the CG for him? For the character?
Yeah, I thought that was some of the better CG work. I thought a lot of the CG work
it
was good, but some of it just did not hold up whatsoever.
I think it was the worst CG work out of all the characters, at least.
Cyborgs?
All the Justice League characters, yeah. I mean, he is a CGI character.
You thought it was the worst?
Yeah, there were some parts where I could totally tell that he was just a floating head.
Yeah. But I think the worst CGI character goes to Superman.
Oh shit, what am I talking about? Yeah, dude, I think that's what gave me the worst taste in my mouth coming out of the theater the first time, was the hack job they did on covering up the mustache. Even from the opening scene with the little kid doing like the video phone interview with Superman, I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh god, it's worse than I thought.
Yeah, it's way worse than I thought it was going to be. And I saw the initial Twitter reactions, and like only one person said that it was bad. But I'm surprised more people didn't call that out.
I was expecting something more along the lines of General Leia's face in The Force Awakens, which you could tell there was something going on there, but it wasn't bad. Like you didn't dwell on it too much.
Like I was thinking Rogue One.
No, Rogue One was horrendous. Rogue One, Princess Leia was a freaking demon. But in The Force Awakens, they did CGI her some of the wrinkles out and everything like that, and you could kind of tell, but it wasn't too bad. Like that's what I thought we were gonna get with this. What we ended up getting was more of the demon face, like that. The uncanny valley, just the weird. Like when he smiled, like I thought maybe he smiled a little bit too wide, and he started looking like evil.
And then blood was gonna start dripping out of his mouth.
Yeah, which was kind of it wasn't good because he smiles a whole lot in this film.
He does.
He's very much hopeful Superman. He's glad to be back, glad to be alive. He smiles a lot. It looks awkward. He looks like the Joker from the '89 Batman movie sometimes.
And it's so weird. Like even his teeth looked fake, and it's like you should have filmed his teeth. It should have just been like his mustache area.
Right.
I have no idea what they did with his mouth, but they fucked up.
Yeah. What is also surprising is that how much of his screen time in this he had the gross CGI face.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I was surprised by that.
Almost all of his scenes
must have been reshot.
Were reshot. Almost all of them, which makes you think, like you get conflicting reports on exactly how much of this film was reshot by Joss Whedon. Now we know that a majority of Superman scenes, almost all of them, were reshot by Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
And so it makes you think that the reports saying that the reshoots were way substantial are correct. I think a lot of this film was redone by I would go so far as to say like 50%, maybe 40%.
I think Charles Roven said it was like 20%.
I don't know if I believe that. I don't know.
It's like we may never know. I hope they release can they call it a director's cut? Can they just like do Zack Snyder's original cut?
Extended cut?
I guess.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're not going to get that for this.
I hope that they continue working on the face effects for him so that by the time the movie comes out, for digital download or Blu-ray, that looks a little bit better. I'm not sure if they will.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's typical.
Yeah. I know, the second time we saw it with our family members. I took my wife and my daughters and you took a friend and stuff. And I purposely told you before we saw the movie, do not mention Henry Cavill's mustache fiasco to them before the movie because I want to know if they noticed it. I want to find out if they noticed it after the movie, and none of them noticed it.
I don't see how that's possible.
And it baffled me. And I have to admit, like the second time I watched the movie, it wasn't as bad as the first time I saw it, because I was looking because the reviews were coming out, so I was looking for reasons to really not like this movie the second time. I actually liked it more the second time I saw it. But Henry Cavill's, mouth situation definitely bothered me less the second time I saw it.
Yeah, my friend didn't really notice the CGI face.
No.
His name is Chris. He was never a fan of Superman. He always hated Superman. He liked Batman, never liked Superman. Came out of this movie talking about how cool Superman was.
That's awesome. That's and a lot of like the reactions I see too. Everyone loves Superman. To me, Superman isn't Spider-Man. He shouldn't be quipping when he's fighting bad guys, He takes this stuff seriously. So the fact that he was joking kind of threw me off. But I definitely, again, like the optimistics to Superman. I think Henry Cavill pulled that off well.
Well, him joking also threw the stakes off. Superman was way powerful in this film.
Holy shit, yeah, he was.
Maybe he was a little bit too powerful.
That's as powerful as he is,
He was wiping his ass with Steppenwolf.
Yeah, totally.
The
others were struggling, and he was just like, bam, heat vision.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's get into the story breakdown.
Well, Steppenwolf. I want to get into Steppenwolf.
Oh, that's right.
He's one of the characters.
Do we have to? He's almost such a non-character, I almost skipped over him during the character breakdown.
Why the hell did they go with the CG villain? That never works.
Yeah.
It has never, ever worked in any superhero film.
Well, it's weird because he feels... I won't say he's any less generic than Hela was in Thor Ragnarok, but Hela had the benefit of not being CGI, so she automatically gets the win because she doesn't feel as generic.
It never bothered me that he was so underdeveloped because, I say this is the most Marvel film that DC has made. I think you could say a lot about some of the other Marvel villains. What bothered me was the fact that there was no damn reason for this character to be CG. They could have easily put an actor in his place.
Well, he was super tall. He was like twice as tall as the others.
That doesn't matter. I mean, you take a look at what they did with General Zod in Man of Steel. His whole costume, all his armor was CG.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
At least film someone's
scene.
face for Steppenwolf, I get that you want to make him look alien and shit, but...
He was still humanoid looking.
Right.
That you could do that with prosthetics.
Right. No reason. This should have been a makeup job. I can't get over the fact that this film's CG was not done. It was not up to par. You should never have that in a big Hollywood release. It baffles me. It baffles me.
I never felt any sort of tension at all with the character.
No.
Despite how powerful he was, because, you're just looking at pixels,
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard to get invested in a CGI villain like that.
And it never led to anything either. He said, "Hail Darkseid" once in the film. Darkseid was mentioned once.
But people who don't know the comics don't even know what that meant.
They're going to gloss over that reference. And I really thought... Okay, so I thought the end credits were spoiled for me, that scene. I really thought we were going to see Darkseid. Because one of the articles, I'm looking through them, it's like, oh, the end credits scene has been revealed. And, there was a thumbnail of Darkseid's face. And I was like, fuck! So but I was still kind of happy that we were going to get there. It was going to lead to that. But of course it didn't. I mean, in one sense I was happy I wasn't actually spoiled, but in another sense I was like, then where the fuck is Darkseid? That's why I'm watching this whole movie, was just to see, well, not just to see.
A tease of Darkseid.
It was one of the things I was really looking forward to in the film that we just didn't get, set up with no payoff. Again.
It would have at least been cool, like, if Darkseid was the one to kill him. Like, just Omega beam blast out of nowhere because he failed or something like that.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Were you happy with the way he ended up
I
perishing?
mean, they'd been setting up the fact that
the parademons
smell fear and feed on fear, so I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
It was fine, yeah. But that would have been way cooler if an Omega beam would have just shot through the boom tube and just, like, sucked him up through it. I would have been like, oh, shit. The whole theater would have lost its shit. Because the first time we saw it with much more, like, you know, a
comic-savvy crowd.
More comic-savvy crowd, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit too into it.
I know one guy really pissed you off because he was super excited by Superman.
Which is way too loud, man. It's like, dude, we're all fans of Superman. But when Superman first appeared in his costume to fight, you know, he was like, I'm a fan of truth. I also believe in justice. You know, that thing? And he punched him. That guy, like, lost his shit. I wanted to yell at him. Like, he was getting so excited.
Hey, you don't like Superman that much.
Yeah.
It's not possible. He really lost it, yeah.
I mean, and I feel like an asshole saying that. But if you were there, you would understand. Like, there's a difference between, like, getting excited in the theater
and
like,
ruining the film.
And ruining the film for other people by squealing and clapping and standing up and stuff like that. You know, it's just annoying. Sit down. Anyway.
Okay, so the last character I want to get into, and we don't have to talk about her too much, is Lois Lane. I think this was a really easy paycheck for Amy Adams.
Yeah. I have nothing to say.
That's basically all you need to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the plot, what did you think of the music?
I thought the music was fine. When I was listening to the score by itself, I thought it was very reminiscent of Spider-Man.
And the Hulk. It reminded me a lot of Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah. They played that swinging orchestra kind of motif during Barry Allen's Speed Force part where he was giving Wonder Woman her sword back. But I didn't notice that till the second time I watched it. The music fit the film very well, I think. And it was cool to hear those moments of the 89 Batman theme. And when you hear the Superman theme, it is so cool to hear those Superman notes played with Henry Cavill's Superman. Like when he was beating up Steppenwolf. They played that a few times. And I was like, that's Superman! Like, for the first time in how many years? The first time definitely in this film universe that we've seen, like, Superman. As the real Superman, as the Superman that I know.
Yeah. I didn't mind it. To me, I agree. Like, it fit really well with the film. I still really missed Hans Zimmer's scores and Junkie XL's scores.
I think they are more talented composers than Danny Elfman. Yes.
Yeah, like I one of my favorite film scores is the Man of Steel score, and it was noticeably missing.
They used part of that in this too.
Barely.
They
used it more in the trailer than they did in this film.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, overall, I liked the opening song. I'm not sure who's responsible for it. That everybody knows.
I didn't like that song.
Really?
Also, that whole scene didn't make sense. It felt a lot like Watchmen, but because like you just going around to these random places. Like there was that racist guy who was like kicking the oranges and who was angry at the Muslim shopkeeper.
Yeah. And the guy.
What did that have to do with anything?
Sitting there saying, "I tried."
I tried. Like I guess it was trying to show that like the world was down because Superman was dead.
I think,
but that stuff happens without Superman being dead.
There wasn't anything special. It's the world as it currently exists.
Right.
That isn't happening because Superman is gone. I think the point of the opening credits was just to show that, you know, the world is mourning. It's sad. It's hateful and fearful, you know, after Superman's death.
What does Superman have to do with that homeless guy with the dog, though? Nothing.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, the song does show that Martha Kent also lost her house. So there were some story elements in there as well.
Yeah.
I think they needed to do something more specifically showing that how Superman, his death affected people. Because, again, those are, unfortunately, everyday occurrences.
Right.
I did like the song, though.
I don't like it.
I like it.
She says everybody knows too many times. It's like, everybody knows what? You're just saying everybody knows. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
It's poetic. You have to listen to the words.
All I heard was box of chocolates. Everybody wants a box of chocolates. I'm like, what? What's she talking about? Box of chocolates.
Rose. Everybody knows.
Dumb. Stupid.
Before that, you have the kid's interview with Superman again, which made me horrified from the outset.
I want to know what the answer to his question, to the kid's question was.
It's set up with no payoff. I don't understand why that was even in the film. Why was that in the film? Why did that need to be there?
He says, "What's your favorite thing about Earth?" And then he's like confused. He doesn't know. And then all of a sudden he smiles. What is the answer to that? Is it because it was like everything, or because it was a Lois? Was he going to say Lois?
He's like Lois Lane in a hot tub, kid.
You'll
know when you're older.
It's open.
Zoom.
It's open for interpretation, but it's so ambiguous that it doesn't even matter. The scene doesn't matter.
Yeah. And it was a Joss Whedon insert, right?
Yeah.
It had to be because it was mustache Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cut it from the film. So after the Everybody Knows segment, it leads to the opening scene with Batman, where he's taking down the thief.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was so cool. The most Batman we've ever seen Batman on screen, I think, personally. And it was great how he uses the thief's fear to draw out the parademon.
That was a cool scene.
That was really cool.
I don't get why the parademon would reveal 3 boxes when it exploded. That was like a convenient plot device, but it made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
It's true. Yeah, I don't know why. It was very convenient. But it sets up the story. Now Batman has to track down these guys to form this team, which I have to say, the whole reason he wanted to find this team in the first place is because of the events of BVS, is because of the dream, is because he knows that something big is coming.
Right. He states that at the end of Batman vs. Superman. Yeah.
And they never, ever address his dream.
The nightmare
Yeah,
sequence?
the nightmare sequence.
Good.
I mean...
I hope that's just forgotten.
That's... Okay. Obviously, Warner Brothers wants you to forget about it. I have a feeling that in the original cut, that played a much bigger role in the film.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think that it was Joss Whedon's idea to have Batman come up with the idea to resurrect Superman, because I do think in Zack Snyder's original vision, it was going to be Steppenwolf who resurrected Superman, because there was a black suit. So we did know that Superman was going to come back, dark.
Right.
Right. And one of my biggest problems with the film, we'll get to this later on, is when they do decide to resurrect Superman, why would that not give Batman pause because of his vision from the future? Why would,
Maybe he just wrote it off as a dream?
Because he'd seen the parademons before in his dream.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And I have a feeling
he would have major deja vu when he saw the parademon,
exactly.
And then he would consider it as like a prophecy kind of thing.
Exactly. Bringing back Superman would put them one step closer to that nightmarish nightmare.
Yes. That's true. Huh.
And I really wish I have this completely different version in my head of what this film is going to be, and it plays so well off of what came before. And that, again, one of my problems with this film was how inconsistent it was, like tonally. I wish they would have done a better job of taking elements of what came before and using that in the story, because it is inconsistent.
Yeah,
it bothers me.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, we'll never see that cut. The studio freaking they pussied out.
And then when in that same scene in BVS, when the Flash comes by and says, am I too soon? You're always right about him. Lois Lane is the key. It should have, big hint. Superman is going to be bad from your nightmare sequence. And
Flash goes back in time.
Flash goes back in the time, and then in the trailer, I really think that was the Flash, not Superman. When Alfred was saying, "Let's hope this time you're not too late." I want that fucking movie, and it's never gonna happen, and that makes me so sad.
Yeah. Man.
I know. It hurts. It hurts right here in my heart, in my chest. So anyway, going back to the story of the film, next up we have Wonder Woman in Paris.
Right.
And there's the bank robbery, which the whole scene, I know it's like we need a really big Wonder Woman scene to remind people of Wonder Woman and get them cheering, but it kind of feels out of place. I don't understand how it makes sense story-wise. I wish like a parademon would have appeared because like, everyone in the bank is so afraid, maybe it would have attracted them or something.
Right.
But it's a cool scene, don't get me wrong.
I kind of freaked out when she busted through the door and she only had like 14 seconds.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
They did a good job of building tension with that countdown.
They did. I thought the coolest part was like when she was blocking all those bullets. Like it didn't look like she wasn't like using super speed like the Flash. It looked like, she was just like really on spot with her timing. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
And then like the line, he was like, "I don't believe it." And what are you? And she's like, "A believer." It was a great callback, great moment. Really loved it.
Oh, I Believe in Love. That callback.
Yeah.
Okay. From her movie.
Right.
That makes sense now. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. That was cool. Right.
Who were those guys though? Those terrorist guys? Like
Exactly.
I feel like they should have been somebody from the comics, like a small. Maybe they were. I don't know though.
All I know is it was fucking Bolton from Game of Thrones. I was like, oh, it's that guy. But other than that, I have no idea what character he was. I remember you speculating it was like Joker from the trailer.
Yeah, because he had kind of a flashy coat too.
It's like, why not make it like a C-list villain? Why not?
Yeah, kind of like how, the Flash guest starred in the
Suicide Squad.
taking out Captain Boomerang. Like, make it a Captain Boomerang level bad guy.
Exactly.
You could have done that.
Yeah.
Make it like Penguin. It could have been Penguin or something. You never know.
It could have. Well, he operates out of Gotham. I don't know.
Somebody, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. It was still a cool scene. But it could have been better.
Yeah.
So after that, we go back to Bruce Wayne, and he's up north, and he has a beard all of a sudden, which bothered me. How long did it take you to get up there? How much time passes from the opening scene to now?
Right.
I don't know why he had his beard. He shouldn't have. Anyway, he goes down, and it's the scene that we first got from Comic-Con when they first released that special sneak peek.
Yeah.
It played a little differently, and it's weird because Bruce Wayne is speaking English. They're answering him in a different language.
Right.
So I think they understand English. Mm-hmm. And then, especially since, when Aquaman says, "I'm pretty sure he would pay me anyway," they all laugh. So they definitely have a context of what Bruce Wayne is saying.
Yes.
So it really bothers me later on when Aquaman is openly calling him Bruce Wayne and Batman.
You're out of your mind, Bruce Wayne.
And, he refers to him as Batman, and, Bruce Wayne himself is saying, "I fought side by side with Superman." Those people understand English. What are you doing?
He seems to be more cavalier about his secret identity in this film than he has in the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't know if Batman is the type of guy who would just reveal his secret identity to the JLA right away.
No, if anything, he would be like, I'm a benefactor. I work, I know Batman. He wants me to contact you. It was something like that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think he would do that. I mean, Ben Affleck, he does a great job acting here, but that just bothered me, the way they were so open about it, and there were so many people who were around.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah. After that scene, the first scene with the Flash where he's visiting his father in prison, that opening scene where he scribbles on the guy's face, comedy gold.
That was awesome.
Comedy gold.
I love that. Because you just see like a few frames of just his hand going up. I love that. That's when I first realized, oh, this Flash is going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love this character. That's totally something that is so relatable.
Yeah, totally.
And that next scene was great too.
Between him and his dad. Yeah. Around this time, we also have our introduction to Victor Stone.
Right.
Which, again, we've talked about that before. It was also a great scene.
It kind of felt like you were jumping into the middle of a film with that introduction because, he's already fully established. He's staring out the window. I thought we were going to see footage of him being a football star, maybe even see the explosion that he was in with his mom and everything like that. But
they could have done that because in BVS, he was already... The video footage that Luthor had of him, he was already like...
But I thought there was going to be like a flashback somewhere. Like maybe even when he was watching those videos, when he was like figuring out that people were looking for him, there was a shot there where he saw himself as the star. Mm-hmm. They could have gone into a quick flashback right there showing him. Because I know they filmed it because it was in the trailers again.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a whole film out there that we'll never see.
Yeah, footage of him in his normal body. Yeah, just walking down the street. I remember that, and he was wearing his sports jacket,
his Letterman jacket.
Letterman jacket. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn it.
Yep. But what we got, regardless, I thought it was a strong scene. I don't know how well it did for general audiences and setting up the character, but since I already knew who the character was, I thought it was fine. I thought it was well acted. I thought the dialogue was good.
Yeah, yeah. It was heartfelt, very heartfelt. Had heart to it.
Yeah.
And then so once we get our introductions to other characters, we do segue into Themyscira.
Yes.
Which it looked different than the Wonder Woman movie, slightly.
Did it?
I mean, and it's just a different director's interpretation of that, But, the look of the Amazons, they definitely were wearing lipstick this time.
They were?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. They were.
I thought they were badass.
They were still badass.
This is one of my favorite action scenes out of the whole movie. I thought it was one of the few action scenes that had any tension in it.
Well, that's true. The chase definitely had some tension.
Yeah.
And it was really well choreographed.
Yeah, I was like, go, 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 Amazons, get that box. And they were so adept at, pulling off these cool tricks to keep the mother box away from Steppenwolf.
Keep it moving.
But he was just so powerful that it was like, cool move. That was really smart. Yeah, go Amazons.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's too powerful. Run.
It's like friggin' Michael Myers or something.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no escaping him.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done. And then to see all the different Amazon characters, you had the archers inside, and you had those the strong women who were sealed the doors with the hammers. Those girls were cool. And then you had the whole cavalry coming at the very end. After Steppenwolf got the box.
Yeah.
Just seeing all that stuff makes me want to see more movies on Themyscira. It's such a cool place.
I can't wait until Diana gets to see her mom again. I totally thought we were going to get this in the film. I thought there was going to be more of a scene of the Justice League on Themyscira. We didn't get that. But it was still nice to see the Amazons again. Just, familiar faces from Wonder Woman's film. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. We got the ever so slightest cameo from Robin Wright during the flashback scene.
I didn't even notice that. Apparently, the actor who played Ares from Wonder Woman? Mm-hmm. David Thewlis.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he was in that scene, too.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was looking at the credits and I saw his name. I was like, oh, shit.
What? I don't even remember seeing him.
Me neither.
That was a great scene. So I think it's the next scene anyway, where...
So, yeah, you had... They fire off an arrow, and Wonder Woman sees the
invasion warning.
Invasion warning.
In the Temple of the
Amazons. Yeah. So she goes to meet Bruce Wayne, and she tells him about this
backstory. This backstory scene of when Steppenwolf first invaded Earth was one of the most hype-inducing scenes I've ever seen. It got me so excited for the future of the DC universe. This and the second and the end credit scenes got me so hyped.
There were some great surprises in this movie. I mean, I'm sure it was hard for Warner Brothers not to use Superman in the marketing, but they left some really good big surprises. And when I saw Green Lantern in that scene, I was so happy. It was so cool seeing a Green Lantern.
He was kind of a chump, though. He got killed pretty easily.
Yeah, that was dumb.
For some reason, sometimes Steppenwolf's axe was a cutting tool, and sometimes
it just made people explode off of it.
Yeah,
that was
Sometimes it was more like a hammer.
Yeah.
It was weird, but he definitely straight up cut that Green Lantern.
Well, he stabbed him with the spear end of his axe. He impaled him.
Oh yeah.
But it was cool to see the ring looked really different from Ryan Reynolds' ring. Because in the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds, his ring was like a black rock with traces of green. And this one. It looked like the ring was...
I don't remember.
Made of, energy. It was just a shiny, smooth, green, glowing green.
I like the way it zipped around.
Yeah. After that, it was. I thought it was really well. I want that ring. I
thought the way they portrayed the energies were similar to the way they did it.
Yeah.
It was like a magical, glowing green energy, kind of misty looking.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit lighter in color. It was cool to see. It was also really cool to see what looked like Zeus, because the way he was using his powers, that's how I imagine Shazam is going to use it. Yeah. Because he does provide his power to Shazam.
Right. And he kind of looked like a Shazam type.
Yeah, he did.
Just tall, dark hair.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder, if they had that plan from the start for me because like when you see Wonder Woman, I always imagine Zeus as like like white hair, long white beard. But of course, in Wonder Woman, it wasn't that way. He was younger, had dark hair.
Right.
And you have to wonder, like, I definitely thought that seeing this film, like, oh, it's Shazam. Oh, I wonder if they're purposely making him look like Shazam.
Yeah, that actor who played Zeus in this movie could have been Shazam.
Totally.
Yeah. I also saw Artemis in there. She was firing her bow and arrow.
Yeah, I think that was Artemis.
Well, it could have been Athena, but I'm pretty sure it was Artemis.
Yeah.
It was cool, though. I love that scene. So cool.
It was cool. It's like, I want to see that movie, too. Make that movie, too.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get Darkseid in that one.
Maybe.
So, moving on, Wonder Woman and Batman, they're by the lake, and Cyborg is spying on them. Bruce Wayne, and that was a good scene. Again, their chemistry was just fantastic.
Yeah. They split up to go recruit Flash and Cyborg.
Yeah.
There was a weird moment when Bruce Wayne was recruiting the Flash, in that little garage that he had set up or whatever, where he was talking about recruiting him to the team, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll join in. And then it jumps to a scene where he starts talking about, the pace of human people and brunch and everything like that. You could see the green glow from the green screen. It
was a continuity issue. His hair was different.
Yeah.
The background was like really, really out of focus, and you could it wasn't moving. There was no like reflective like lights or anything like that. It was really out of place. And I don't know how many other people noticed it.
It was jarring.
I definitely noticed it.
I couldn't believe that they left the green on his face. But it was definitely a Joss Whedon shoot.
Insert. It was just a weird insert. It was all just like to set up the race at the mid-credits scene, I guess. Like that was why they inserted that.
The whole brunch reference?
Yeah.
Possibly. Maybe they just wanted a little funnier beat right there or something.
And I couldn't tell if Ben Affleck's reaction to what he was saying was...
No. I'm pretty sure they took his reaction from an alternate shot that they had.
It's like B-roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Otherwise, though, I mean, we saw most of this scene already.
Yeah, from previous trailers. I do have to say that Mercedes-Benz is so sexy.
I like the steering wheel. It looked like a game controller.
Yeah.
It's cool. I really like it.
Really cool.
I like how they set up how the Flash has to eat a lot. I don't know if that's something from the comics. He's a snack hole.
That's right. I think it is. It's definitely a thing in the TV show.
Yeah. The next scene with Cyborg and Wonder Woman, when she was trying to track him, and all of a sudden the computer started fizzing out, and you see his text across the keyboard, and he's like, I want to talk to Victor Stone, and he was like, you are.
Yeah.
Or something. That was
a good scene.
That was so cool.
And then I loved her line where it was like, if I wanted to, attack you, I would have done it by the lake. It's like, oh shit, she knew, son. She knew you were spying on them.
It's like, you don't have the upper hand. You both have the upper hand.
Booyah.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the line where she met him face to face. She's like, you have these gifts. And he's like, if these are gifts, why am I paying for them?
He had some really good lines. There were some really well-written lines throughout this just sprinkled throughout the film. That was one of them. That was a really good line. I couldn't have written that. Only a smart person could have written that, So, after this, I think it's Aquaman saving the guy from the boat.
Oh, yeah. And then he goes down to Atlantis, and then you have the second Mother Box appearance.
So I don't understand how Steppenwolf was so easily able to know where the Amazon's Mother Box was and the Atlanteans, because he boom tubed straight to them.
Right, and he
didn't do that for the humans' Mother Box.
Well, here's the thing. We don't know how long the parademons have been on Earth by the time this movie starts. Obviously, they've been here a while.
That's true.
So that he may have had scouts, even in Atlantis and Themyscira up to this point.
That's true. You'd think they would have been noticed, though. One thing that they also set up that they never paid off, which to me really sucks because it would have been such a good thing to develop, was the fact that Steppenwolf could turn people into parademons.
Yeah, we never saw an example
to me,
of that.
when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, oh, that's the stakes of the film. The entire world is going to be zombified. It's almost like you almost have a zombie movie here,
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything with that.
Right.
Which sucks.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see some of the citizens of that
that Russian town.
You
know what they could have done was the family's looking out the window, and
They see people
they
getting
like
turned.
see people running out and like get turned into parademons. That would have been terrifying.
Yeah.
That would have really
It also would have
stakes.
explained why they were the only families left in that town.
Yeah, right? It was weird that only one family lived there. Even though we know more did because Superman's saving an entire building of them, but
We never see him.
we never see him. It's weird. Anyway, back to Atlantis. He boom tubed straight to the thing, and Aquaman somehow...
I think the mother box was actually calling to him.
Really?
But why the last one didn't,
Maybe it didn't have any charge.
I have no idea.
That may have been the reason, honestly. It was at a charge.
Because it was being used in experiments and stuff?
Well, it had already been used to give Cyborg life, and I think that's when it lost its charge. That's what I think. But anyway, so it was interesting how, one, I guess Aquaman, because he saw he had like the green blood on his hand, he went back to like the same spot where the man was drowning, and like the mother box just happened to be there, like unguarded. It was like outside the city of Atlantis. It felt like,
Well, it was actually surrounded by guards.
Okay, yeah.
They were
right,
just
it
like
was
distracted
guarded.
or something.
It was like out in the open.
Just really shitty guards. Mara was like the coolest one.
Mara was cool. She was really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her.
I would have liked to have seen a better use of her powers, though.
Yeah, she just created like whirlpools and like concussive like blasts.
Yeah.
When in reality she's like a waterbender. She could create like constructs and stuff like that.
Swords
of water.
and stuff.
Yeah. But at the end of the fight, which was pretty cool. It was short, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was surprised that she created like an open air environment for them to speak. It makes me wonder how they're gonna do this in the Aquaman movie, because I know like they've been having discussions about how they're gonna portray speech underwater.
It's possible that Atlantis is going to be a dome.
It's possible. We'll see. They obviously could all breathe in air as well, because Mara was doing it. So I guess that's how the Atlanteans operate in the DC Comics universe as well. So
Under a dome?
no, but they could breathe both underwater and above water.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not like Marvel's Atlanteans.
No, Marvel's Atlanteans only breathe underwater. They have to have these special like fishbowl helmets when they come on dry land.
Right.
For the most part, I've seen it both ways.
Yeah.
What did you think of Amber Heard's performance as Mara?
Oh, there were some points where I couldn't tell if she was going with a British accent. Is Amber Heard British?
No, she's not.
Well, she would be like, you dare speak of Queen Elena that way, but in other instances, like, she didn't have a British accent.
It was weird. I thought that too. I was like, half accent, half not accent. It's not a very good British accent, I don't think. She was trying to sound regal, I think.
Yeah.
I hope they don't keep that up for the Aquaman movie.
They've decided upon an angle. I think they finished principal photography on Aquaman, so.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, so after this scene, I think we have Commissioner Gordon, and some of the cops are worrying that the parademons are Batman, and Batman's, like, turning bad or whatever.
Yeah.
So then, Commissioner Gordon, lights up the bat signal. We have Barry Allen meeting Diana, which was great. Just good, funny scenes, moments with Barry Allen, like, hi, Barry, I'm Diana. Wait, that's not right. And then, of course, they go meet Commissioner Gordon on the roof when Cyborg joins them, and they all discover that these scientists are missing.
It was a great way to get the team together because, Cyborg lives in Gotham City, so he was able to see the bat signal. He knew that they were looking for them.
Yeah.
His father went missing, so it was a good motivation for him to join the team, where, initially he was reluctant.
Right. So then, of course, we get, like, our first, like, I don't want to say our first big action scene, because there's been action scenes before, but, like, as a team, when they're in that, like, underground silo kind of thing. I don't know what to call it.
Can you remind me why they were there?
Because Commissioner Gordon had been tracking the parademon activities, and they seemed random, but Cyborg was able to figure out that they weren't random. They all kind of led to this abandoned, like, island underground facility.
Right.
So
he just
there.
decided to take all the kidnapped victims from Star Labs there.
Yeah.
Because the parademons were able to tell that these people that worked at Star Labs had, like, the scent of the mother box on them or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And obviously, Steppenwolf's working out of, like, these silo kind of structures. In Russia, he's working in that, like, nuclear reactor or whatever it is, the abandoned one or whatever. So they track him there, and we got our first big fight, which was pretty great, pretty action-packed.
Nothing bad could be said about the action of this movie.
No.
They were so much fun. They worked really cohesively as a team together from the very start, I thought. Flash's arc during this whole fight was really good, where he's like, I don't know if I could do this, and then he starts saving people, and all of a sudden, he's a
joining
really
in the fray,
vital member of the team, helping him out and everything like that.
I wish they would have brought up like his healing factor or how he heals quickly, because he does get shot in the leg and he's kind of taken out of commission, but then they don't come back to that.
Right, yeah, there's no reason for that. No real reason, except to maybe add some tension or something. But.
Yeah, it was, they can't escape fast because the Flash is out of commission. I think that's what it was. So they needed Aquaman to come and save the day to prevent them from drowning. It was cool to see Cyborg, how he helped out. He saved his father, helped build that relationship, and then he went in and worked on the Nightcrawler, which the Nightcrawler didn't have his... I thought the Nightcrawler was going to be used in the final fight. We got like the set visits from last year. It was a cool machine. It wasn't like as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be.
How did they get out of the tube after Cyborg abandoned them?
The same way they got in? I don't know. He took them right back to like the...
They never showed that.
No, they didn't. But they showed him like right outside the facility. That's when Aquaman comes and he's like, dressed like a bat. Which I knew he said dressed like a bat. There's so much like debate online whether he said just like a bat or dressed like a bat. And I always knew he said dressed.
I didn't even know there was any controversy over that.
Yeah, there was.
To me, it was always dressed.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a cool entrance for Aquaman, for sure.
Cyborg comes back with the mother box.
Yeah.
They decide to use it to bring Superman back.
Which, again, completely throws me off. Bruce Wayne wouldn't want to do that based on his nightmare.
Right.
And it was an interesting, like, tension-building moment. There was definitely some tension between Bruce and Diana when he calls her out for not being around after Steve Trevor.
I kind of took his side in the argument, so to me, because he was right,
Yeah.
To me, it was kind of weird when Flash made that one comment where he says, if she kills you, we'll vouch for her or something.
No,
like
yeah,
that.
I agree. I also thought, like...
I didn't think he was being an asshole.
I thought her punching him was kind of, like, uncalled for.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like, if that was, like, a reversal, like, if she made him angry, so he just punched her right in the stomach... That wouldn't have been okay at all,
Yeah.
But, ultimately they all end up... It was kind of a nice moment to see, like, Aquaman, like, stealing stuff from Bruce Wayne's lab, and, they all had their moments.
That moment where the Flash was zipping around, like, the Batcave, and he was, like, sitting in the Batmobile and stuff like that. So hilarious.
It's a cave. It's like a bat cave.
That was great.
The reasoning behind why Bruce Wayne kind of came to the realization that, hey, this mother box could bring Superman back to life, it was really rushed.
It was a little shady.
It was really, really rushed. All of a sudden, like, we learn about this mother box. Let's use it to revive Superman.
Right. Well, he said it in a few sentences. Basically, the gist was, so this thing can transform a planet so it creates life. It's full of life.
No,
or something.
like, it brought Cyborg back to life, essentially. It rebuilt Cyborg.
And then Superman's stronger than a planet.
Yeah.
So he'd be able to take it or something.
Yeah.
And then the birth
He wouldn't turn into, like, Cyborg. He wouldn't need, like, the cybernetic additions because he's strong enough to...
And his body doesn't decay. For some
Right.
reason, Batman knows that.
Right. Although, one thing that bothered me was, where the hell is the huge-ass hole in Superman's chest when he's brought back? Because he had a huge-ass hole last time we saw him in his chest.
Oh, well, it heals, maybe, although he's not in the sun.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, shouldn't he have almost brought himself back to life? Because they definitely teased that at the end of BVS with the rocks floating up.
Right.
They brought him back to life in a completely different way than I thought they were going to. Like, to me, if they would have been like, oh, the mother boxes aren't used for terraforming, because we already had that in Man of Steel.
Right.
The threat was terraforming. If their whole motivation was just to bring Superman back to make him a part of their army, I would have totally bought that.
Yeah.
It's not like an end of the world kind of thing, but it potentially could be. It's the whole movie. I felt like would have been much better if it was just a fight for Superman.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I thought that would have been great. Please let me make this movie next time, Warner Brothers. Just give it to me. I know what to do. Just give it to me. Okay, so yeah, they botched the tease at the end of BVS with the rocks floating. The whole scene where they bring him back to life was kind of interesting because they're all kind of used, I guess. Well, the new guys are used. Aquaman steps into
Aquaman just gets
amniotic fluid.
Oh yeah, Oh, the Frankenstein scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Cyborg, like, interfaces with the Kryptonian ship.
Oh, yeah.
And then Flash, recharges the mother box. But the scene that follows where Superman does get resurrected and he's up in the air and confused, really good scene. I really liked it. It's one of my favorite scenes from the movie. Superman, he, again, confused, and, they're all standing there and, like, he doesn't know who they are, but then, he's scanning them and Cyborg reacts defensively. Really good scene.
I guess Cyborg would be able to tell because he could probably see on all the layers of the spectrum, you know?
Right. And he knew that...
So you can see the X-rays that were being beamed at them by him.
He knew that Aquaman's adrenaline was spiking. He said that, And then the Pet Cemetery line. Oh my gosh.
So good.
It was so fantastic.
It was kind of a slight laugh when Flash first said it.
Yeah.
It was like, is this going to be like a Yay, Superman's back thing, or is it going to be like a Pet Cemetery thing? I laughed a little bit. But when he said Pet Cemetery again, I laughed out loud. I thought that was fantastic.
And then when Superman's fighting all of them and the Flash is zooming by, that scene has to be my favorite, like, funny scene of the whole movie, where Superman is just tracking him with his eye, and you just see the reaction on the Flash's face.
Because he's never seen anything like that.
No. But just seeing the Flash's face in slow motion is just golden.
Yeah.
It was great.
I thought it was I felt like Wonder Woman should have been able to handle him a little bit better. It seems like he's just so much more powerful than anybody else in the league. But really, Diana should be able to go toe-to-toe with him.
She should absolutely, and he should be, like, weakened. He hasn't had that much sunlight.
Right. Exactly. And he was real pale too, so you could tell.
Yeah. So that's kind of unfortunate. But I mean, the CG mouth again in this. Did you expect Batman's big guns to be Lois Lane?
Yes. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah.
No, I did not see that coming.
Yep.
I thought that was cool when it happened. It's kind of funny when he was like, "Do you bleed?" He sees Lois Lane. He just tosses Batman aside. The Batman's like, "Something's definitely bleeding."
I thought that was fantastic.
I know some people didn't like that joke, but I thought it was great.
Who wouldn't like that joke? That was a great joke.
I don't know. And then, okay, so they're all pissed off because they just got their asses handed them to Superman. They're all, arguing. Aquaman thinks that Cyborg is, a spy for the bad guys, and the Flash is hungry. But
there was a nice moment between Bruce and Diana at this.
The best moment, I think.
Yeah.
I think where...
they kind of reconciled at this point.
Yeah.
And it was just a nice moment. She set his shoulder back, and everything.
Yeah. I like it because it really sets Diana's arc in the film. Again, you understand why she's been out, the 100 years between her film and BVS and, things like that. It was just a good moment. She looked really, really beautiful as well.
Yeah, that little robe thing. I don't know. Why did she have that red toga thing?
She wants to look sexy, dude.
I guess.
Pretty sure.
I remember Ben Affleck saying that there was some sexual tension between him and Wonder Woman in the film.
Yeah.
I didn't really get that too much.
I got it in that scene. Sort of.
I guess.
They're both drinking wine together. I don't know.
Was it wine? I thought it was like scotch or something.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Does it bother you that Batman drinks in these movies?
Yes. Yeah, he shouldn't drink. Older Batman, I'm a little bit more forgiving because I'm sure he's in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But definitely not younger Batman.
Mm. I like the line where she's like, "You can't do this forever." He's like, "I could barely do it right now."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good.
I hope they don't replace Ben Affleck. Please don't replace Ben Affleck in the Matt Reeves film.
I think that's up to Ben Affleck. If it happens, it's because he wants it. I think they'd love to have him back. Because I think he is a big hit with a majority of the fans. So
yeah.
What happens next? So
next is this all leads to the final fight. We do get some interaction between Lois Lane and Superman, but it's he gets to see his mom again.
Those were nice little moments because they had some emotional weight to them. I think that's a good contrast to Thor Ragnarok. Like Thor Ragnarok, if they had a scene like with Lois and Clark out in the cornfield, it would have been filled with jokes. But this one, it didn't go full on Marvel.
No, it definitely didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a bit where he was like itchy, but it's like they didn't continue with it. Like it was like it was like maybe a legitimate thing. He wasn't trying to be funny. It wasn't Superman trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And Amy Adams gave a good dramatic performance. Like you would not be proud of me or whatever she said. Something like that.
I thought that was a weird line, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Diane Lane was good, too. Seeing her son again alive for the first time.
Yeah.
That was good.
And so, Cyborg is able to track, which I don't know how he was able to do this. He's just a badass like that. He was able to track where they are, so they go in the Flying Fox.
That's why I thought it would have been cooler if Aquaman found it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And they set that up where he's like, "Can you feel the currents?" And talk to the fish or whatever.
It would have been a cool way for him to use his power that a lot of people make fun of.
And kind of like Aquaman and Cyborg kind of had like an antagonistic relationship throughout the whole thing. It would have been nice to see them work together. In a way.
Yeah.
Aquaman kind of clue Cyborg in on where to look.
Right.
Because he did say he was going to feel the currents, but they, again, didn't come back to that.
Yeah.
So this all leads to the final fight, where Batman kind of takes the charge. He breaches that blue kind of field pretty easily with the missiles, and then attracts the parademons. And then the others join the fray at the lead of Wonder Woman. It's just an all-out fight with Flash saving people, Aquaman and Batman just kind of taking out parademons, Cyborg going for the mother boxes. Well, I guess Aquaman and Wonder Woman battling Steppenwolf.
Yeah. A lot of the great moments were revealed in the trailers, but there were some pretty good moments that weren't in there too, like when Batman ejected from the Batmobile and then fought the parademons.
Yeah.
I like this scene. It was a lot of fun.
It was really cool. It was really cool. And then, they're getting their asses handed to them. They can't hold off Steppenwolf long enough for him to stop interfering with Cyborg. So then Superman shows up.
Before that, isn't that when Cyborg got his leg ripped off?
Yeah, that was brutal, for sure. But then Superman comes in and just saves the day completely. It's like a one-man show.
Yeah, he even showed, like, he's, like, so much better than everybody else. Like, he could kick Steppenwolf's ass better. He could save civilians better. Like, you almost don't need the Justice League because you have Superman.
Yeah.
He could have handled this on his own.
Yeah,
easily,
totally.
Apparently. Which makes me wonder why, like, if this had happened when Superman was alive, it would have been easily taken care of. But the whole reason the mother boxes went off was because Superman was dead. How did they know that?
What? So part of me feels like, again, Superman was dead, so, like, the world was, like, a worse off place, right? Everyone was more afraid. So I think the mother boxes and Apocalypse, like, sensed all the fear coming off of Earth. They're afraid of this next alien invasion, and they don't have Superman to help protect them.
Yeah.
Because, everyone knows what happened with General Zod when that happened. Because, on all the TV screens, he was like, hey, I'm coming to invade you.
Right.
So that made sense to me, I guess. Or I guess you could rationalize it in that way.
Okay. So they were looking for, like, a certain set of, like, parameters kind of to look for optimal invasion time, something like that.
Probably.
Okay.
So yeah, the fight ends when essentially Superman freezes Steppenwolf's axe and Wonder Woman shatters it, and then
Steppenwolf becomes afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that you mention it, those Omega beams just coming out would have been so cool. You don't even need to explain it. That's all you needed.
You think general audiences would have been like, what the fuck was that?
Well, maybe. But, you could say the same thing about, like, Deathstroke,
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, they could have at least done a line where, like, they look up and they're like, there's something else out there. Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that being said, right after the fight, I think that shot of them all standing together as, the wildflowers are blooming and everything like that. The music, they're standing next to each other. It's all of them, including Superman. They're talking, they're having a good time. That made the whole thing worth it.
Sort of. I do feel like we never got our moment, like in the Avengers, when they're all, like, standing back to back and, like, the camera's spinning around them. That was their moment. That was it.
And I'm glad they stayed on that shot for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was nice. It felt very Justice League.
It wasn't
cartoon.
as kinetic. It was as kinetic, but it was much, like, grander, I feel like. Like, they're not in a moment of peril like the Avengers were. It's much more like the opening shot of like the opening titles for the Justice League cartoon.
That's literally what I just said when you interrupted me.
Oh, I didn't know you were talking about the cartoon.
Yeah. It was a great shot.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just, I thought that they were going to rush the ending because I looked at my watch and I'm like, oh yeah, it's coming up to that time where the movie's going to end. Mm-hmm. I thought they were going to really end it in a rushed, dissatisfying way, but it was rushed, but it was actually very satisfying where they showed like each of the characters were by the end of this.
Yeah, you see that Batman bought Martha Wayne's house back, and then you get shots of like, It's Lois Lane's, and I wish I could really remember what she was saying, but it was something along the lines of like, it was a dark time, but now there's hope, you know? And I think really it's Warner Brothers' essay for the film, and that like, hey, we know you didn't like BVS and our previous stuff because you felt it was so dark, but there's hope in the future, and look at these cool shots. Yeah. Doesn't this make you feel good and hopeful? You know, because it certainly did that for me.
Is Bruce Wayne turning the Wayne Manor into the headquarters for the Justice League?
It seems that way, yeah. It's like the Hall of Justice or something. Yeah. But you get some like really cool shots. You see Wonder Woman talking to the crowd and being in the spotlight and really, you know, opening up. You see Cyborg, you know, transform into his new suit, which I wish he would have done that earlier.
That was so cool.
That was really cool. You see like the Flash just prancing around.
Well, he got his job now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I totally forgot about that.
In the crime lab.
Yeah. So his stuff is just starting. You know, they didn't have the scene where he's like breaking through the window with his finger.
Oh, no,
I just remembered that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you see Aquaman, like, I think he's returning back to Atlantis underwater.
Right.
You see Batman just like with the bat signal in the sky and the plane coming up. And then, you know, of course, the money shot of the whole thing is Clark Kent, you know, wearing his Christopher Reeves trench coat, opening it up and zooming up.
That's what we were waiting for. I can't believe out of 2 Superman films, you know, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, we never saw that shot.
Yeah.
It's iconic.
The thing that really confuses me about that scene is there's no way Clark Kent got his job back because he's fucking dead. They published it in the newspaper. And Perry White was so pissed off at him in BVS that there's no way. I'd be really surprised if he was going to get his job back. So I'm not sure what he's doing now. I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe he's wearing a mustache as a disguise. People can't seem to tell the difference between Superman and Clark Kent with glasses. He's going to come back with a mustache and you're going to be like, who the hell's this guy?
Kent Clarkson?
Kent Clarkson.
But I don't even know if we're going to get like Lawrence Fishburne's reaction to Clark being back because now he's in the Marvel Universe.
Right.
Like a traitor.
Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne, yeah.
But great ending, big smile on my face. I especially enjoyed the end credit sequences.
I liked the second one more. I mean, the
first one was too distracting.
The race of Superman versus the Flash, for me, has never been a question. Because Superman could, like, accelerate to near the speed of light, but, like, the Flash could run the speed of light. So that's to me, that's always been, like, a dumb question.
But it was a great, like, Silver Age story.
It was definitely, a Silver Age throwback, that whole scene right there. And it was funny. I mean, it still had, you know, like, CGI face for Henry Cavill, but it was a good scene. Nice, hopeful, warm scene.
Yeah.
But the one that really, really made me excited was the post-credit scene with Lex Luthor. Did not see it coming.
I was not expecting that. Like,
it made me.
I thought it was going to end with the guy laughing when he turned the bald guy around and it was not Lex Luthor and he was laughing. I thought the shot was going to end there.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, like, and really this scene was obviously directed by Zack Snyder. It felt so completely different from the rest of the movie. It felt like the cinematography it felt like a real serious film.
Yeah.
It was interesting. But yeah, just to see those, you know, those little bandana flaps waving in the wind all of a sudden.
Yeah. I was like, is this fucking Joe Manganiello? And it was.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for the guy. Like when I thought he was going to be cut from the film, I thought, you know, and he may not be a part of Matt Reeves' Batman film, but it looks like he's going to be part of the Injustice League or Secret Society or Legion of Doom. I'm not sure what they're going to call it. I hope they go with the Legion of Doom. He's a part of it. And so, you know, he still has this future. I am super excited.
The question is, where are they going to go with that?
Dude.
Justice League 2?
Yeah.
Is that
ultimately
the plan?
They need to now.
Because we haven't heard that announced or anything.
No. But maybe they were saving it because of this reveal.
Maybe.
I was kind of hoping it was going to lead to Darkseid, but maybe it still can because Lex Luthor still has ties to Apocalypse, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for if they go that route with Justice League 2. That would be so cool.
Yeah. All right. I think that does it for the review. Overall, we're giving it 3.5 stars. Again, I walked with such a big smile on my face out of this movie theater, and it's really easy to ride high on those, you know,
last moments.
Those
I
last
think that's
moments.
what Marvel does too.
Yeah. But then, like, you're in the shower the following morning, and you're like, why the fuck did the exploding parademon show 3 boxes?
And why would Batman want to resurrect Superman?
Yeah, just weird things like that. That kind of, you know, you really start dwelling on how the film was made and the story. And yeah, It's not 4 stars. It's 3.5
It's
stars.
not perfect. Yeah.
So we
got some
the potential that they have here, and I feel like I say this after every DC movie. Like what's coming next is going to be better, and sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I really look forward to what they're bringing in the future.
Yeah.
As a Marvel fan, even.
Yeah, you've been
Marvelous
online defending DC quite a bit from a lot of people.
Well, it's because I want it to be good, because I want DC to actually, be a competitor. I want you to, I want them to step up their game so that I don't feel like I'm just like, dunking on them all the time. Or, my favorite universe is always dunking on them.
Again, like DC succeeding could only help Marvel because it's a friendly competition. You perform at your best when you have competition. I feel
Exactly. So fuck the critics.
Yeah, exactly.
First and last thoughts.
Well, we do have some thoughts from some of our people who follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, Tim Brown wrote into us, and he said, so he saw JL. It had problems, most definitely, and I could tell which parts Whedon did and all the rest that Snyder did. And their pacing was nuts, and other issues, but overall, I like the movie and feel the critics are kind of way harsh on it. For me, it's not as good as Wonder Woman, but it's way better than the rest of the movies they made. I enjoyed it a lot more than BVS, which actually still pisses me off. I'm excited where they can go next. Hopefully Green Lantern will be there next time.
I agree that the critics are too harsh on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it breaks my heart to see its tomato score. It doesn't deserve that.
No. Like, was it really that much worse than, like, Avengers Age of Ultron, which got, like, in the 70s or 80s?
No.
Exactly.
And how fun it was, too. I mean, Thor Ragnarok was really fun. I thought this was just as fun. And read so many critics say how fun Thor was, like, in almost every review.
Right.
I don't understand, like, there's a lot of Snyder hate out there.
Yeah. And Zgung, Z-G-U-N-G on Instagram, her real name is Lenka Minatikova, she wrote into us and said, it was so refreshing to see a movie that takes itself seriously. CGI was frowny face emoticon.
Yeah.
She didn't like Steppenwolf. She felt like the CGI on him was really low budget.
Yeah.
But otherwise, she liked it a lot. She even teared up several times.
Oh, nice.
Probably on the Superman scenes, I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
They had some emotional resonance to them. So,
with Cyborg too.
Yeah, with Cyborg too. So, yeah, people overall, almost everybody I talked to who has seen this film has enjoyed it.
I haven't met anyone who's seen the film who said that, yeah, it was not a good movie.
Right.
So that's encouraging. If there's any hope for the film, like, doing well, it's going to be word of mouth. It's not going to be Rotten Tomatoes.
So if you're listening to this review, you've seen the film. I don't know if you've told anybody if you like it or not, but if you haven't, go ahead and do that today.
Yeah.
Just go up to somebody and be like, hey, you know what? I went to my local movie theater the other day, and I saw this film called Justice League, and I really think that you would appreciate it. So go see it as soon as you can, preferably this weekend. So, all right, that does it for this review and for this episode. Please, again, subscribe to the show, and, as you're telling him to go see Justice League, tell him to check out Dynamic Duel Podcast.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, excuse me, I was listening to a online radio show the other day on my cellular phone while I was driving to work. And I listened to this show called Dynamic Duel Podcast, and I really appreciated it. The end.
And I think you would too.
All right.
Trivia hint. So it's more of a clarification. The question for the trivia was, what was the first published DC superhero team, and what comic book did they appear in? Same question for Marvel. What was their first published superhero team, and in what comic book title? Again, submit your answer to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Gmail. Our email address is dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. The hint is more of a clarification. Like I said, when we say team, we mean team, like with the team name. Yeah.
Partnerships and team-ups don't count.
Right.
So there's that. Again, we mentioned at the top of the episode that we opened up a t-shirt, a storefront on tpublic.com where we have some really cool Marvel and DC t-shirt designs, including the Vitruvian Man homage that you drew, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool looking. Gonna get that as a tattoo. most likely.
Are you like
on my back.
100%?
I'm like 75% want that as a tattoo because it's really awesome.
You can't. I'm going to be speaking so like #fake fan if I don't also get the tattoo.
He has the head of Iron Man. He has the chest of Captain America. He has 4 arms, from the original Da Vinci design. So one arm is Spider-Man, the other arm is Wolverine. Then you have a Thor arm and Doctor Strange. And then the legs are the Hulk, and the other set of legs are, one of them is Mr. Fantastic, and the other one is Daredevil. It looks so damn cool.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. But we have other designs there that you can check out. If you know somebody who really likes Marvel and DC, and you want to get them a gift for the holidays, go ahead and do that. Or if you want to show everybody how cool you are and how much of a Marvel and DC fan you are, go ahead and go to tpublic.com/user/dynamicduel. But I also have the link in the episode description for this episode.
And if you're also looking for a gift for, a nerdy comic geek for the holidays, again, as we mentioned in our last episode, an artist named Paul Heaston, who is phenomenal, is doing our podcast cover art for our Christmas episode, which will be Crypto versus Throg. And I've seen preliminary work on the artwork, and it is phenomenal. It is so good. We're going to be putting that artwork up for auction closer to the holidays. The money's going to go to charity. The charity that Paul Heaston chose was the Sierra Club.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah. So the money's going to go towards a good cause. You're going to get some badass original artwork. So keep that in mind. We'll post more information as we get closer. Probably our next episode.
Yeah. It'll be up by that point.
Yeah.
All right. And also one more thing. Now that this episode is over,
Holy shit.
What?
I'm just looking at my Facebook feed right now. He colored it. He colored the artwork.
That's amazing.
I wasn't sure if he was
usually
going to.
he does line art. Okay.
He's known for his line art. Holy shit. Okay. You're going to want to buy this. We're going to post it up soon. Check back. Subscribe to us. You're going to want to see it.
Okay. Right after you finish this episode, go ahead and search for The Blast from Our Past podcast, and you could listen to more of Johnny DC and me as we argue with our friend Adam Spees about who is better between Batman the Animated Series and X-Men the 90s animated cartoon. So it's a lot of fun. We had a great time on that. In 2 weeks, we'll be reviewing The Punisher. So join us again in 2 weeks. And until then,
up and away.
true believers.